Welcome to my freezer. Do you have problems getting your meat ready to be defrosted so that you can actually use it to make a meal during the work week? We majorly struggled with that problem, and by the time we figured out what we wanted and realized we're gonna have to defrost very frozen meat, we decided to give up and just eat another frozen pizza. In this video, I'm going to give you some advice about ways that you can help make it easier to get your meat defrosted and to meal plan during the work week. So that way your meat is ready to use and you can make meals fast. Welcome to Master of Chemomstry, where motherhood and science collide. My name is Joy, and I'm a mom and a teacher, and I love to share my experiences with others to help them on their journey in motherhood, parenthood, and family life. My husband and I still aren't great at meal planning, but we have been making strides in dealing with the, I don't know what to make. We got to get the kids there on time. We're going to be late, or I've got a meeting in 30 minutes. Let's get to it. We're getting a little bit better at that. We started off getting real tired of trying to defrost meat and getting a meal ready within 30 minutes. It never went well, and we always ended up eating later than we had intended. Eventually, we got the bright idea, well, why don't we defrost it ahead of time so it's ready to go? So we started putting it in the fridge. But initially, that had a few problems that came with it. Okay, so I want to show you where we defrost our meat. If you look here in the fridge, these are the produce areas. I have produce here, and I have like cheese and pepperoni here. And here is where we have our meat at. So at one point, I'll get back in the frame here. At one time, we put way too much frozen meat into the fridge, and then because it was on top of the produce area, our carrots and cucumbers and whatever else was in there was frozen when we got back. So the frozen meat cooled the fridge down more instead of the fridge helping to defrost the meat. We also had it where we put meat into a bowl, like this hamburger here, and then the hamburger, as it was defrosting, there was a leak up on top, and then the leak went down the side and then down into the produce area, so then we ruined any of the vegetables and fruits that we had in there. So what do we do to solve these problems and also make weekday meal planning easier? Number one, determine how many meals that week require meat that you need to defrost. We are a busy family, and your family might be even busier than ours, especially if you have more kids than us. We have 3, or kids that are older and involved in more activities. I'm highly involved in church activities. I'm on church leadership, middle school youth group. I also am on the praise team. So on average, I have about 2 meetings a week in the evenings. And then my kids are busy too in the afternoons and evenings. They have piano lessons and drum lessons, and they're also involved in the after school church activities on Wednesday nights. So it's kind of crazy every single week. When we look at the week, we know that there are days of the week that are just not worth trying to make something big. Something that's going to take more than 20 minutes is not going to happen. And so Wednesdays, I drop the kids off. They have their after school activity at about 3:30. We pick them up at 5, and then they have piano lessons at 6:15. So there's not a lot of time in between. So those nights call for mac and cheese and hot dogs or leftovers. Other nights when there's not so much going on, then my husband might decide to grill some steaks or burgers. I might decide to make spaghetti and meatballs. Or on other days, even if we might have time and we just want to use that time to relax and visit and hang out with each other, then we can throw a roast into the oven or something into the crock pot so that it can just sit all day and be ready to go in the evening. Once we know what we're going to need for the week, so for example, we need 3 different types of meat and we need to defrost them, then we get them out of the freezer and then we put them into a container, usually a plastic storage container or a glass bowl, and we get them into the fridge. Number 2, place all those containers that you might have that are full of meat onto a large rimmed baking sheet like this. Okay, I'm gonna put it back because it's kind of heavy. The first reason is so that you can keep all the meat contained to one side. So that helps with organization. It allows for your meat to defrost safely, especially if you put it into a container that your toddler decided to use as a step stool to try to get a banana from on top of the counter, and now there's a crack in it that you were never notified about. Or maybe you have a container that you've been using for over a decade and it's just given up. So having these containers on a large rimmed baking sheet will allow for you that if you have some sort of leaking that occurs, that the rim baking sheet catches it. And that way you're not ruining the produce underneath, or that you've got it pooling underneath, ketchup or milk. The other thing it's really useful for is if you have like a large roast that doesn't fit into any other container, you can put that roast directly on the rim baking sheet, and if it leaks, it leaks. All you got to do is take that rim baking sheet out when you're done with that meat, wash it off, and put it right back in. I hope these meat defrosting tips are helpful for you. I have a good friend who started doing what we do and still raves about it today. So if it helped her, I suspect there's others out there that might find it useful when they're dealing with their weekday meal planning. If you tried any of these ideas out that I shared with you today, I'd love to hear how it turned out. Please share in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it as well as subscribe for more content like this. Our experiences can teach us so much and I love sharing them with you. Thanks for watching.